Birds are a group of highly successful flying vertebrates, containing nearly 9,000 species. The earliest birds evolved from small coelurosaur theropods during the Mesozoic era. Archaeopteryx, meaning ancient wing, was a genus of early birds that lived in late Jurassic Europe around 150 million years ago. It was around the size of a pigeon, and it had physical characteristics of both reptiles and birds. Its jaws were full of pointed teeth and it had a long bony tail. The limbs were long and slender, with 3 clawed fingers on elongated hands. The feet were bird-like, but the lower leg bones indicate it was a running animal. Archaeopteryx had many reptilian characteristics, but it also had 2 features that were unmistakably bird-like. It had a well-developed wishbone and its body was covered in feathers, which were attached to its long arms and tail. The skeleton of Archaeopteryx was extremely similar to those of small coelurosaur theropods. In fact, one of the fossil specimens lacked the impressions of feathers and was mistaken for the small theropod Compsognathus. Paleontologists believe Archaeopteryx was primarily an insectivore that inhabited open forests and was capable of gliding between trees. It may have hunted insects while flying, or it could have swooped down to catch invertebrates living on the ground. Archaeopteryx would have been able to use its clawed hands and feet to haul itself up tree trunks or to clamber among branches to launch itself into the air. Unlike modern-day birds, Archaeopteryx had a small breastbone, which indicates it lacked the powerful wing muscles that later and current-day birds possess. This could indicate that feathers on Archaeopteryx and other theropod dinosaurs originally evolved for insulation or for display purposes. Coelurosaur theropods and early birds were most certainly warm-blooded animals, and this insulation would have helped them to lead a more active life as predators. The discovery of Archaeopteryx was one of the most important moments in the history of paleontology. The first fossil specimen was discovered in 1861 in the Solnhofen limestone in Germany. Not only were most of its delicate bones intact, but there were also clear impressions of feathers in the rock, which were preserved in their natural positions on the wings and the tail. A second and more complete specimen was found at the same site in 1877. An additional specimen was discovered in 1951. The evolutionary origins of the birds was a controversial topic among scientists. Until the discovery of Archaeopteryx, birds were thought to have evolved during the Cenozoic era, after the extinction of the dinosaurs. The fossil of Archaeopteryx was dated to the Jurassic period around 150 million years ago. The similarity of its skeleton to reptiles led some 19th-century scientists such as Thomas Henry Huxley to speculate that birds had evolved from dinosaurs. However, this theory was not fully accepted, and other scientists believed that birds had evolved from an earlier group of bird-like archosaurs instead of theropods. The issue of the evolutionary origins of birds began to be resolved during the 1970s, when paleontologists such as John Ostrom studied the skeletons of several coelurosaurs such as Deinonychus, whose skeleton had many similarities to those of Archaeopteryx. Then during the 1990s, fossils of several small dinosaurs were discovered in quarries in the Liaoning region of China. Several perfectly preserved fossil specimens were discovered there that belonged to small but evolved species of coelurosaur theropods. These fossils also had unmistakable evidence of feathers.